Not yet, or yeah.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Good evening. This is Amma
Good evening.
Manson's Network. And we are live. And I have with me here two beautiful ladies. We have Nancy and we have Sister Ajwa as well. Today we'll be discussing, today is the second session of our discussion on parenting. And by special request, it's getting to Christmas. It's the crazy season for parents. It's the panicky season for parents. Some are anxious, some are creeping everywhere to find money to satisfy their children and their families. So today we're going to discuss about the safe and sensible way to keep everybody in the family happy. We're getting some feedback. I don't know where it's coming from. Can you please check? I think it's better now. Is everyone okay?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to discuss how to sensibly spend without breaking the bank, without going broke, and also making everyone happy. So we have my panelists are very vested in this, I believe, and are going to share their opinion on how to live sensibly through the season and come out not broke, but still with your head high, because after December, there is January and there are other bills to pay. So let's see how critically we can assess this by answering the questions that we have listed down. So one of it is, how do you spend sensibly at Christmas? How do you do that? Sister Ajwa, I would start from you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. We have been around for some time and we have spent some Christmas, quite a good number of Christmas. So it depends. I'm looking at it from this way, that you should be a happy mom or a happy parent in the face of your children. And in the face of all the circumstances around you at home, let the children see that you're on top of issues. And they grow up knowing that every day is Christmas and you have family traditions. So if you're the type who does Christmas trees, the way you keep the tree after the ceremony will tell the children that mommy wants to preserve this. So occasionally, if it is like a footwear, or in fact, the kids grow very fast, so I cannot use footwear. If it's like a particular beautiful dress you bought for the child last year, and you know that it is something that you can do a little about, like fix something about it, do some little alteration, and the child can repeat that, plus something little new this year, you do it together with the child. Oh, darling, bring the dress, let's see. Try it on, let's see. Let me put this bow tie here. Then the child is happy because mommy is always happy. But when the child sees mommy very gloomy and complaining or blowing the money, then the child will definitely present his or her needs. That I also have needs, so you cannot be spending on yourself and leaving me. So I'm looking at it from the parents' appearance before the child, even before the Christmas season appears. That will help the child to understand you when the child presents a request and you think that cannot be met at this time because of one thing or the other. My second point is also that if there is a heavy project that is drawing lots of money at that time, let the child appreciate what you're doing. Let's say you are trying to fix the house or make over the house, or you're building. The child should know that my parents are putting up a project. So this Christmas, it will not be like the other Christmas when they didn't have a lot on their hands. Once the child is part of the day-to-day planning of the house and thinking of the house, however young the child is, you can try and explain what is happening to their level. Let's say they have the first level of understanding. They will get to appreciate that because we are doing this, I will not bother my parents. Children are very understanding and they are reasonable. That if you paint the picture that you have it, they will also make sure they help you spend it.
Thank you very much. I think you delved very straight into some points that we will be covering later. But Sister Nancy, can you please also help us here?
Yeah, so I think your question was how to make children happy without spending too much, or what was the
Yeah,
question again? Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In my experience, children they do tend to want more of our time than the things that we can give them. And making children happy, it differs depending on which stage they are. When they are between 0 and 3, 3 to 6, they have different wants and needs. So for us, we have entered the teenage years, so I can talk from that time to the teenage years and say that making them happy is not always about spending. When it comes to making my kids happy, I have found out that the more time I spent with them, they do appreciate and want that more than the things that I buy for them. Because even most of the things they would want it. You buy it, they use it once, twice. In 1 month's time, you find nobody is using it again. So to make them happy, I do believe we need to spend more time with them, doing things that bonds us more than buying things for them. That those are the simplest ways of making children happy without spending too much. Of course, you can't really do anything without spending a little bit of money. Whether it's baking together, playing Monopoly, all of that, you need to go and buy the Monopoly set. You need to go and buy ingredients to bake together. If you want to take a short trip somewhere to go and walk in the woods, of course, you need to buy fuel to do all of that. So you need to spend a little bit. But I have found out that spending more time, especially here in Europe, spending more time with kids, as for our children see it more valuable than buying gadgets and things for them.
Yeah, yeah. As Nancy just mentioned, thank you very much. Spending, making children happy during Christmas is highly dependent on the age of the child.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
it's, if your child is young, and when you're talking about toddlers do not actually know much. I'm speaking
exactly.
from, they don't know much. And one thing that, as Sister Adwa spoke about, rightly said, talking from the parent's perspective, the parent should be in a position to identify the kind of case that they have, their level of understanding, and the needs of each child. Some people have a range of children in their family, and you have to identify all these individually. And every child is different. Every child have a different way of accepting or receiving or thinking about receiving gifts or even thinking about Christmas as a whole. So you should know these things as a parent and see how you can relate or communicate with your children with regards to their needs and in keeping them happy. So for me, I'll give an example with my child. Between the age of 1 to 3 years, he had no clue about toys. And I'm going to speak about especially parents with children on the spectrum. These kids, most of them have nothing to do with toys. They have no use for them. So if you have toddlers, for instance, the fun they only have is bursting bubbles and opening boxes. The rest of the things, they are not able to play with them. So one thing is parents get too emotional in their spending as well and go spending buying things that the child doesn't need. So you don't be, as a parent, don't be emotional. You need to sit down and think properly about what's the age of your child, what will be suitable for them, and then also include the child, depending on the age, in the budgeting of Christmas. And that is what we've talked about so far. So how do we spend Christmas with the children? How do we budget with them, spending less on whatever we intend to get them? How do we do that? For example, I will give an example. I will cite an example. I'll begin with it. With kids on the spectrum, for instance, they actually do not. It's an expensive lifestyle, I'll have to say. You spend so much on them. So you tend to focus on their actual needs than their wants. These kids cannot even express what they want anyway. So you are always focusing on what they need. And you need to get these things for them in as thinking in the long term as well. So you don't buy things in the short term. You always think in the long term. There are some children, toys that break, they will break them. The longest that my son has kept a toy is 48 hours. 48 hours. So if I'm buying a toy for a child like this, then I must be assessing how productive is the toy going to be for him. How long is it going to last? Is it worth me buying a 40-pound item, which is going to break in the next 48 hours? No, it's not a viable one for me. So I buy something that will last. So we've gone in for soft toys, which lasts forever. When it's dirty, you wash it, and most of them, the way I teach my child is we use the toys to learn. An example is a friend's child uses kinetic sand to play and learn. He makes stories with the kinetic sand, writes letters with the kinetic sand, and all that. And this child is excited to see kinetic sand. So these things, you buy them during sale time. They are normally 20 pounds and above. They come to 10 pounds. You buy them and you keep them. You hide them and then you bring them out for them to use it. So it's not every child that you can just go and buy toys for. You have to think thoroughly about the kind of child you have. How long are they going to keep the toy for? How is it going to help you as a family and as far as your budget is concerned? And some children will cry, I want this, I want that. I got that thing off my son's head by taking him to a charity shop each time. There are good ones there. You pass by the toys. ask him to play and ask him to take one. You pay £1, £2, £5. So for him, he's seen toys so much that it's not a fuss for him not to get a toy. So sometimes you prepare the child's mind that things that are not, some, we have to be honest, toys, some of them are not, they don't help the children in any way, but it looks beautiful
Yeah.
for them. So if you go to a charity shop, they are, most of them that's been used once, you get it for £1, £5 here, and other places they haven't used it much. If he brings it home and he breaks it, he's had a look at it. It's no break to the budget, you see. So this is before Christmas. The child gets used to not craving that I want this toy and I want that toy. So for a toddler's age, that is the advice I would give to parents. Just look through, pass by. They are very good charity shops for kids where you can see toys that are barely new, barely used, especially with the babies and all that. You come, you clean them properly. They don't keep those toys for long. It's a few months and they discard of it. That saves you money. It saves you money. And then the toys that you think will go in a long term or in educational point of view, or you think will be personal to your child, then you decide to buy it and keep it for yourself. But for those that they will dispose of quickly, you don't buy a high price one. You rather buy a second-hand one. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. People become so emotional about these things, and it's not funny. It's not helpful to your budget. So I will leave it to Nancy to continue.
Well, I think I don't know the culture that is in the UK. I haven't lived there in a very long time. But
Okay.
here in Germany, it's quite normal to repurpose toys, to go to charity shops to buy
Yeah.
things, not just toys. You do sometimes find some great things in charity shops. And personally, when my kids were younger, I had no problems like buying things from the charity shops for them. The challenge arises when they become a little bit more aware. And of course, even if they're just watching the Disney Channel, they are bombarded constantly with different adverts of 17 different types of Barbie, um, and Annabelle doll, Barbie doll, all of this constant, marketing, even on kids' channel. Even they don't even need to watch a grown-up channel. They see that over and over again. Then it comes to the challenge of every time I want this Barbie with the dream house, then I want Barbie that went to school, then I want Dr. Barbie, then I want this. That is where the challenge comes in. For us during Christmas, I think since my kids were like 6 or 7, you get to make a list with 5 items. And from these 5 items, you're going to get 3 items from the 5 items. 5 things that you really want, then I'm going to look at it and decide whether is this thing useful? Is this thing something that you're going to be using for a long time? And we know our kids, their temperament. Okay, I know you're going to be bored with this thing in 2 weeks. You're not going to be using it again. Or,
Yeah.
oh, maybe this is something that is maybe educational. It's good for you. Or they went to school, they saw that somebody has it and they want it. I mean, kids are just human like the rest of us. They see something, they're interested in it, they want to have it. But it is your duty to let them know, because for me, I run my house on a very tight budget, and I let people know that it has to be budgeted for. Nothing is done spontaneously here. Everything is on a budget. I don't care what happened in somebody else's house, but here I need to know, I need to save for it, and then you're going to get it, because I need them to have this world awareness of how the world works. And now that my eldest daughter is 13 years old, and here in Germany, she's already started doing an internship in a kindergarten, and she knows how much people are paid by an hour. So when she asks for something, I always refer to her, how many hours do you have to work to be able to afford this? If somebody is being paid like 20 euros an hour and you want a toy that costs 60 euros, you're already complaining that the kids in the kindergarten is a lot of work. Okay, now see, you have to work 3 hours to be able to afford this. I think as parents, the earlier we make our kids aware of how the world works, the less battles we have to fight with them. You understand? Some people like to keep their kids in a bubble where everything is rosy, but I think kids are very intelligent. And if
Yeah.
you discuss with them what your future plans are and everything else, they do tend to understand, because not just Christmas, we have summer vacation, we have so many things coming up. And in Germany, we have two Christmases. We have the 6th of December, where we have Nikolaus, where you have to get something small in preparation towards Christmas. So of course you get something small for Nikolaus, and you get your big gift, and then of course summer vacation we have to go somewhere for holidays and all of these, and all of these things cost money. It's not free. So planning with them, especially as they get older, talking to them and planning and being very honest with them about your financial position. Our kids love us. They are not going to, force us to do what we cannot. Being open is the best way to be able to let them know this thing is too expensive. Maybe another time. Maybe we need 6 months to save for it, and so on. Yeah.
Sister Ajwa, shall we come to you?
Yes, I think you ladies have nailed it. I have two young adults and a 10-year-old, and many other children around me. And what I did when my kids were very young was to start early because the budget was slim. So by October, I have made my list and started buying what I can buy. So by November, December, in the heat of the purchases, that the prices are over the roof, I am not on the market. I've done this. I have done this since I started having them till date, when the first two are old. The second one, for example, is a boy. Anything you buy for him, or when you ask him, what are your needs? He tells you, I don't need anything. And of course, he doesn't need anything. If you are done with the university, you should know when you need what. So that is it. That is not a kid anymore. The 10-year-old, I will tell all my needs and the budget I have. So let me know what you think will be interesting for you, one or two items. Now, the list is made, the one or two items is brought, and then we discuss, because this is what you said you want, and this is how much I have, and these are the things we want to do at this time. Every Christmas, we have to go to the countryside and visit grandma, and you cannot go empty-handed. So if this is the amount of money we have here, and we are going to travel and it will cost us so much, and I have to buy you that one, it means we will have to get an alternative for you. Do you want to change your environment by visiting? That is equally a need. When you get experience, experience is not bought in the shop. You have to immerse yourself into it, yet you pay. Like one of you said, you have to buy fuel at least to travel to go to the place. And that is also an experience that when you come back, you can share with your friends in school. Oh, this Christmas, I went to this place. I saw this, I saw that. The discussions go on. You get your brain expanded, and it helps your intellectual or cognitive development. So that is what I have done since I started having the kids. And right now that I have other kids around my little one, I'm still doing that. So by October, we have discussed whatever we need to discuss. And when the market is full and everybody is running up and down, I don't go out. We will be focusing on what we will be eating during the break at home. And I think we should be modest enough in the way we bring up our children, in the way we even dress them up, so that we prepare them for the reality. Christmas is just about a week or some few days. So if we get to bundle every amount of money in the house to make everybody super, super happy. And after Christmas, we come to zero. What is the essence of this? I don't know. For those who can speak Twi or understand Twi, there is a saying that goes that tete wo ba ɛwɔ donkom na w'anyi ayɛ ɔde hyia ma. Raise up your child in a very modest way so that when the child grows, the child will be able to live like a hero because you brought up the child in a way that the child appreciates almost everything. Imagine me discussing my finances with my 10-year-old, budgeting on the amount of money that I have with my 10-year-old. You think when this 10-year-old turns 20 and she's on her own, she wouldn't be able to do her own budget? I had a discussion with one of my bosses and she said when her kids are going to school, she makes them do their own budget, do the list, to the extent that money for offertory at church for the number of weeks you'll be at school should be stated on that sheet. So whatever amount I give you, I know that every week you're spending so much for offertory. It doesn't affect your, what we call in Ghana, chop money, your pocket money. Before you come and call me again and tell me that, oh, the money you gave me, I used this one for that. We planned it and we agreed. In the same manner, if it has to, we have to talk about Christmas. Let us talk about Christmas. This Christmas, I remember I'm not a type who does Christmas trees. And my daughter told me she wanted a Christmas tree. And it's lingered on for 2 years. So the second year, I told her that we will get a Christmas tree. We had a shop, but that will be for the shop so that everybody, a lot more people will experience a Christmas tree because I don't appreciate what it is and I don't even have space to keep it. So she agreed and we did it for the shop. Now the shop is no more. So we have brought the Christmas tree home. At her age now, she doesn't, that craving for the Christmas tree is not there again. So if I had run the first year she told me to sacrifice money that I would have used for something quality for her, I don't think I would have done her a good service. So my advice to parents is that we have established already that children come in different stages. So if they are very little, they have very little understanding of their environment in terms of how much is expensive, how much is going to what is high quality, what is low quality. As they grow between 5 and 13, they have taste. They know what exactly they want. They are competing with their friends. That is when you need to do the negotiations with them so that they build that ability. And when they get to become the young adults, where many a time they want to issue a fiat, they know mom or dad has this nature and I cannot go forcing things on them. So they also learn how to come and negotiate with you for their needs. If they present them and they are not needs and they are wants, I think we should be able to put our foot down and in a very polite way, help them to appreciate that this one will not be necessary. I mean, there are so many ways you can get them to tell you again themselves that, oh, it's true, this one is not necessary. Let me get that one instead. And gradually, we'll be preparing them for the future. I read a quote just this morning that you cannot prepare the future for your children, but you can prepare the children for the future. So I believe if we do this for them, we shall all be happy in the tomorrow when we are weak and they are the people who will be there for us.
Thank you, Sister. The other thing I would like us to speak about, you just spoke about budgeting with the kids. And budgeting with kids is a tricky one, and it can be easy depending on the kind of parenting that you have with your children. Remember, we spoke about parenting last week, the different types of parenting. So, how do you budget with your kids? You've spoken a bit about it by giving us the ins and outs about budgeting, making them understand budgeting. But I believe that the kind of parenting you have with your child would also contribute to them siding with you or agreeing with you or bearing with you or coming on the same page with you as well. If we are an authoritarian, the child has no say in the budgeting plan. But if you are trying to communicate and have a modern day way of bringing up a child, inclusiveness and understanding, and then communication and coherency in the relationship that you have with your child, then you will sit that down, the child down. And in Europe, it's quite broad. I'll start by saying it's quite broad in Europe if you want to budget with your child. And there are so many creative ways you can do that, because at Christmas, you are not just considering your family, you are considering friends. As a parent, your child's teacher and anyone close to them is your priority. Because at the end of the day, if they are not with you, if they go to extracurriculum activities and all those things, they are with your child and you want the best for your child. So all these people that relate to your child as well becomes part of your family. Therefore, sometimes you have to consider them in the budgeting as well. You decide to give your child's teacher a present and the child says, I like this other teacher. You have to let the child also say, this is the money we have for the family budget. If you want this for your teacher, what should we do in adjusting what you yourself you want as a present? And it also shows the kind of character that your child has as well, because it tends to show if they are the ones who like to share, they are the ones who like to also manage, they'll be able to manage things properly, and it forms a form of communication. You can make it fun as well. So I'll come to Nancy. What are some of the things, since you are practicing, as I remember, a kind of, how did you say it? It's called, what kind of parenting are you practicing again?
Gentle parenting. We are
Gentle
trying it.
parenting. Yes.
We are trying it. It's
You,
not easy, but we are trying it.
yes, you would have to have this kind of coherent, friendly conversation with your child in as far as budgeting is concerned, and
Exactly.
in as far as what you intend to buy and how much you want to spend. So I will leave that to you now. Hello? Your sound is gone, Nancy.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, your sound went off.
Oh, okay.
You're
Um,
back.
what we have been doing here is, in Germany, we don't wear school uniforms. So we do wear whatever we have to go to school. So we have been budgeting for some time, and not just for Christmas. Before school opens, we do tend to try to do our shopping for the upcoming school year. And we started with the budgeting from there. And the thing that I have seen with kids is that the more freedom you tend to give your kids, the much better it is. Like if you give them a little bit of freedom to make some of their decisions, then they feel like they are kind of in charge and they feel like, oh, okay, I do also have a say. This is the part of the gentle parenting. What I let them know is I let them know an X amount. That is the amount that you have to spend for your winter clothes or for your summer clothes. So once you know that you have to stay within that budget, it makes them, sometimes when we go to the shops that we have here, like H&M and so on, because they know that they have a limited budget, they do tend to go straight to the sales rack and be looking for things from there, they do tend to be thinking of, oh, could we maybe I can go to a secondhand shop and find something vintage. That's a new word in my house, vintage, and so that my money can go a longer way. And I hear them discussing that, and I think it's good because you have to give them a bit of freedom to do their own kind of calculation and their own kind of decision. Of course, I do step in, like if they're buying a jacket that I think is stylish, but it's not warm enough for winter or something, then I'll step in. But the rest of the stuff that I don't think, anything that doesn't bring harm, I allow it, as long as you stay within your budget. Of course, when we started it, some people bought frivolous things and regretted their buying decision. But it's a learning process. They need to know how to live with it for the next 6 months until the next shopping time arrives. So since we've been doing that for some time now, when it comes to Christmas shopping, we do the same. We know the budget within which we are working. Everybody knows that if you write 5 items, you're going to get 3 out of these 5 items. And we also know that each item cannot cost more than an X amount. That is how we do it with the budgets, because they need to know how to do it, not just because we don't want to spend money, but the point of parenting is raising people who can function in society when you are gone. That is the main point of parenting, even though we don't like to focus on the fact that we are going to be gone one day, but it is the truth about life. And you don't want to leave your children thinking unnecessary things are what makes life worth living or something like that. They need to know how to live within their budget and still be happy, So you cannot just buy. Bringing it on to a very micro scale, of course, they have lunch money here as well. And I give you your lunch money for the for as well. You get your lunch money for the whole week. So if you spend it by Monday, you have your bus ticket already. The rest is up to you. And believe you me, they have their piggy banks. They've been saving, and they've really learned the art of saving for things. They save so that when their friends have birthdays, they can buy them something small from the shop, maybe face mask for their face or some kind of nail polish or something. They save to buy things for their friends as well, because they know, oh, Anna Marie is going to have a birthday in February. This person's birthday is coming up. All of that counts into the budgeting in different aspects, so that by the time Christmas arrives, you don't have much to struggle with. They understand how it goes already.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nancy. Would you like to ask anything, Sister Adjoa? Because I think you've spoken at length regarding budgeting. Should we go on? I think you are muted.
Yes, I was muted. It's okay now. I think we've spoken at length about budgeting, and all that Nancy said is perfect. It's perfect. We help our children to appreciate exactly how life looks like in real terms, and that is fine. Kudos, my dear.
Okay, so we are now going to talk about how relative parenting styles are for our children's upbringing. The parenting styles that we have, they are also related to the finances, and they are also related to anything else. Because if you are an authoritarian, pardon me for the background noise, if you are an authoritarian, your child has no say in whatever you are presenting. But if you are in the communication aspect of it, or in the high end of it, you are in the one, whichever parenting lifestyle you are in, it does also present in the budgets, the kind of budgets. Sometimes to the budget also determines the kind of parent you will be. So, in a nutshell, parenting, one thing we have to talk about is you cannot be an effective parent if you haven't planned yourself. You are not on top of your budgets. It's either your child will be controlling your spending and you'll be all over the place, or you are in charge of your budgets and you have things in place. So someone just sent a message that is good for new parents. So for new parents who have kids, who are babies and are planning and thinking, oh, my child is young. My child is young, I can spend and there will always be money there. What kind of advice would you give to them as to saving, planning, and what to look out for, and the reason why they should be saving and planning? Because it's not going to be cutie like this. I remember when my child was a baby, I would just buy stuff. The things are quite cheap, so you buy things in bulk and keep them and all that. And then within 3-6 months, they are gone. You don't need them anymore. But that money can be saved towards other things, education, nursery, and all other things as well. So, what advice can you give these new parents who have children and think it's easy now? What would you advise them to look forward to and how they have to plan towards the future of their kids so that they don't become stressed financially?
All
Nancy?
right.
Okay. Sister Joa, if you are ready to answer.
Okay. If I have to take my turn on this, what I will say is that when you have the babies or when you have the children fresh, you are so head over heels with them. You want to get anything and everything for them. But having gone through it a couple of times, I think that if I have to do that again, I would spend sparingly. Those consumables are fine. You can buy them and keep storing them because you will need them on constant basis. But sometimes you get to buy, let me start with clothes. You buy 3, 4, 5 clothes at the same time, forgetting that in 2 weeks, that child's height is going to change. That child's width is going to change. So by the time you'd want to use the 5th attire, the child is bigger than that dress. The child's foot is bigger than that shoe. So the advice for me here is that you buy, when you have young children, you buy when you have to, or you buy bigger sizes and keep. And try to save a lot of money. As much as you can save, save. As much as you can put aside, that you can still have your daily meals and the money that runs the home. Try and keep those windfalls aside. Because a time is going to come, ill health can even erode whatever funds you have kept. And when ill health is about coming, it doesn't announce that I am coming. Those who have very young children, sometimes all 3 children can fall sick at the same time. You may have insurance or health care or whatever to cover their health, but you still need funds to run the home when those emergencies happen. As they are growing and their taste is changing, it is not all the time that you are that liquid. So for savings, I think it is the biggest thing I would want to share with all parents. If you have extra income, extra funds on you today and you have started having the kids, you have a baby and a year old and a 2 years old and a 5 years old, fine, when you dress them up and they look so much like a doll in the TV, it's nice, but it doesn't help anybody. Just make sure the child appears neat and is well dressed depending on where you live, and keep the rest of the money for the sake of tomorrow so that you can fall back on that savings when times are hard. This will be my submission.
Thank you, Sister Ajua. Coming back to you, Nancy.
Yeah, when it comes to spending, especially for those of us who have had a couple of kids, just as Sajwa said, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that even though we have lots of kids, we are Africans are a group of people. We are very fertile and we do have lots of kids as compared to Europeans. However, when I moved to Europe, the thing I noticed is something that I think we missed in Africa is the fact that there's absolutely nothing wrong with people handing down baby clothes to you because babies grow up so fast. But because of superstition and our upbringing and all of these things, we do tend to shy away from that. But I became aware of mother groups here where they maybe because also the things that we get they are already secondhand and sometimes from China and the quality is not as good as here. I don't know. But there are mother groups here where they do pass things on that have been used once or twice and they keep this circle and they help each other because honestly, before your baby turned one, most of the things that we bought most of them, apart from some useful items like probably the bottles and sanitizers for the bottle. So many things that we buy, we go through it within 1 month. We have the baby because the baby is always growing. So all this spending, it does not matter at all. So depending on who you are as a parent, of course, when you first have your first child, you want to spend, 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 spend. But it doesn't help. We have to think of new ways of saving money and taking out all of these superstitious ideas that we have in our head. And touching on the parenting style, I believe that if you want your child to learn how to save, you will do your part. But if you don't train that child early, it's very difficult to implement later on because studies shows that the personality of most kids are formed by the age of 5. So you have to learn to say no to your child early. If you say yes, yes, yes to your child because you have money now, later on it will be very difficult for that child to listen or hear the word no. It will be shocking to them. But if you are, I used to tell my kids, okay, we are going into this shop. I'm just going in to buy 2 items. You don't get anything because when they were like 2 or 3, they would start throwing tantrums in the shop, throwing themselves on the floor, trying to find ways to bully me to buy that the thing that they want for them. But I had to also stand my ground when they were 2 and 3 because when they are 7, it's too late for me to implement that. So I think implementing it early is the key, not later. In that sense, during that time, it's also part of the gentle parenting. You have to let them cry. You have to learn not to be embarrassed. You have to stand there, let people watch you and let them go through all the emotions. When they are done, you pick your child up, you put them in the car, and then you go home. Because if you're afraid of that crying and you break down and you buy them what they want, then they know this is the key that they have to always use to open this door. You understand? So, and of course, you cannot hit them or anything like that. So you have to be able to let them go through all the emotions, finish crying, and then say, still no. Now we have to go. And then we go. Implementing this later is always almost impossible. You have to start
Yeah.
implementing it quite early for your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And one thing I would also add is It's something that Africans don't want to talk about. But the first thing as a parent, it's important for you to do is to get yourself a life insurance. Life insurance. As soon as you have a child, you are responsible for a life, and anything can happen to you. It is important to get a life insurance as part of your savings for the future. Because if anything happens, that money you put your child in as the beneficiary if anything happens. And it's the best thing that you can ever do for your children. We don't want anything to do about death or even accidents or anything. And that's a big mistake that we make as a group of people. But it is very, very, very vital. I remember when I came to the UK for the first time, I think I signed up for an insurance. And then my religious thoughts came into my mind. Why would you sign up for an insurance? It means you are gearing up to get an accident or whatever. And then I canceled it. 6 months later, I broke my foot and I had no insurance. And these things are important. They are inevitable in most cases. So why not? The minimum here is about £7, £8 per month, which you can save and save and save for your child. And it's a security, it's part of a saving. You might not know anything. And then opening an account for the child. If you think you have one child or any other kids and you have that extra money, as both Nancy and Sister Adwa have mentioned, if you think you have any extra money to spend, put that money in that account for the child, and it will be helpful for the child. Another thing that we don't do as African parents is we don't join mother groups when we have kids. There are so many mother groups that you go to and they will show you all the free activities that are there. And when you go to these groups as well, they do activities, they share flyers of free things that helps the child growing up. Some mother groups, you go, you pay £1, or some are free. There are some churches that do it. I'm in a church that does it. We have clothes that if people don't, that the church members bring and other people can come for it. There are so many things within our communities that we don't even bother to look out for. And that's a behavior that we must change. We must join these groups. You go online, you check, you join them, they are welcoming, and they do activities. It helps the children with developmental stages, education. You get to know all the corners and all those things in your communities. Aside helping you mentally as a mother and knowing what's going on. Sometimes we are almost lost in our community because we have no idea of these things. So the more you go in the mother groups, you'll be shocked how other mothers, what they communicate about on what they do to manage their economics and how to get things at lesser prices and all these things. So that is what I will say. I think the other question I asked, Nancy almost finished answering that question, and it says, how do you get your child to understand the situation when you're saying no? How do you get them to understand? How do you get them to compromise? How do you get them to understand the family situation and why you can't give them what they need? How do you deal with that? How do you communicate that as well? Nancy, can I come back to you, because you were talking about that and you
Yes.
stopped.
Yes, I mean, when it comes to saying no to our children, what I have seen is, of course, sometimes when it's always no, 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 it can also be very negative. When you never say yes, that is also a little bit too harsh. But your kids needs to know that when you say no, then it really means this is something that it's either not good for them or something that you cannot afford. That is a distinction that you need to let the children know, that you're not just saying the word no for the sake of saying no or for the sake of being mean and I'm saying no because I can't afford it right now, and or I believe this thing is not good for you or it's not necessary. That's why I'm saying no. This is a clear once, especially now that I have preteens and teenagers at home, once they understand this, it's easy for them to accept and respect your no. Because in this life, of course, you cannot have it all. You can't have it all. Even when you have all the money in the world, at some point, you're going to meet somebody who is going to say no to you. And saying no is not a form of rejection. It's just sometimes I say no, or I say not right now, or I will think about it. Let's budget for it, and all of that. Not just constantly no, 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 no. Then your kids just brand you like, okay, as for mommy, it's always no. And with daddy, sometimes we can get yes from there. Mommy is just the person who says no all the time. So getting them to understand why it's no, let them understand why they can't have it all. Because our kids, like I said, they are intelligent. You cannot just say no to a child, especially a child in this modern society, without explaining to them why you are saying no. Because they will ask you why. Why is it no? So you need to come back with something that is tangible and let them know, okay, this is the reason why it's no, or it's no right now, or it's no forever. Maybe it's no because I don't think this thing will bring you any kind of benefit. Maybe it's trendy right now, but it's not something that I accept in my home. Okay, that's why it's a no. Because my full-blown teenager, she went through a phase where everybody at school is getting special Nike sneakers and blah blah blah. And I let her know that what we are not going to do in my house is I am not raising a sneakerhead. I'm not raising somebody who just follows the trend and has to get these shoes. I buy you the shoes because they are warm, they are comfortable, and I think they are good for you. Not just because it's a trend with your friends and you need it to be cool among your friends or whatever. So I explained to you why it's no. As long as we come back with an explanation, it's easy for our children to understand and hear no. And of course, we also have to be sympathetic and also add a little bit of yes in between the no's. It cannot always be no, no, no. That is borderline like being mean towards the kids. It has to be a mixture of yes and no with an explanation why.
Can we talk about adding the budgeting into the no instead of
Yes,
no? Actually, the no is actually being said as something which we should consider because of the negativity that comes with it. But rather, we place it. I hear what you're saying. Can we look at our budgets and see if we can attain this, if it's feasible or not?
exactly.
Getting them
Exactly.
into the conversation. But when
Exactly.
you say, especially considering the age, if they are teenagers and you say no, it's like a rebellious thing. But when you bring the
Yeah, of
negotiation,
course. Yeah, of course. They themselves, when they see the budget and they see that this is not feasible, they themselves will say, okay, mommy, I think this one, let's do it later. So sometimes you don't even have to say no. If you let the budget do the talking for you, they come to that conclusion by themselves. And then, yeah, of course, they will say, mommy, maybe we should get that later, or I don't think I really need that right now. So maybe we should forget about it. Of course.
and when you make them spend their money too, they then become wise. They don't want to spend their money carelessly. Yeah, they become very clever about this when you bring their own money into this. Lady Lika, can you hear me? I think my mic is not working. Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, now I
Okay,
can hear you.
yeah. I think Lady Nika has asked a question. She said, "What about kids abroad needs who needs they have some financial
I think who
support?
knows? I think she wanted to say who knows they have some financial support
Ah,
and are
who knows?
entitled.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they are entitled to whatever they need. Financial support in as to what they know that they have some money with you, or something like that. Maybe. Yes, some kids in the UK, for example, know that they get is it child benefits, a monthly payment, which parents are supposed to save that money. Some that conversation is a tricky one. That parents, you need to have that discussion, because most of the time, I know that most parents are not able to keep that money for the children, and that money itself is for the needs of a child. Those, it depends on the income of the parents. It is hardly that you find a parent who is actually saving the child's child support money for them. Okay. So
Yeah.
even if they do, at the end of Christmas time, they want something from that money. Some people who have their head screwed on well and have some money aside, save that money for the child till they are 18 in pursuit of uni or other places. These people have strong foundations as far as finances is concerned. But there are other parents who actually rely on this that child support to add to their budgets every month as well. So it comes back to the budgeting and the communication as well. So Lady Nika, I don't know which one you're talking about, but it will also be appropriate. Yeah, she said child benefits. So if the child thinks that you are getting child benefits, you sit down with the child, do the budgeting with your income and say, for all you know, that's child benefit, which is 80 something pounds, and is looking for an iPad or an iPhone, and they are getting something every month. You do the calculation, you realize that it's not feasible. So that's still, it comes back to the budgeting, the communication that we've discussed earlier. And the children are very understanding if you are very clear with them as well. So we come back to Sister Ajua to also add something. And as far as Ghana is concerned, I don't know the dynamics now at the moment. I know Ghanaian kids, because they watch telly and all these things, they perceive kids abroad have everything. But, but parents abroad do a lot of budgeting with their kids. Everything that they have is well budgeted for. It's very, very calculated. So because those things are not common in Ghana, it's not like everything is thrown at them. So what would you say or advise parents in Ghana in as far as this is concerned?
Thank Okay, if you can you hear me?
Yes.
I think she's frozen now. Nancy, would you like to add
Yeah, I mean,
anything?
no, I just wanted to answer Lady Nika's question about the kids who feel entitled to their child benefits and so on. I think it depends on the kind of relationship you have with your child, because well, I haven't gotten there yet, but I don't think any child of mine feels entitled to anything in this house, because that child benefit is so small. There isn't much that can be it's small, and most of it goes into a savings account that we have for you, and other things that we always draw from it is when you have a school trip. When you have a school trip, you know there's always money there for you. You don't need to worry about that. If you need money urgently for something to do with school, anything to do with school, the answer is always yes, because school is a priority for us. But my kids already know, because we took them with us to the bank. And when they were like 9 and 11, I think, and they know that they were given a folder, and I think these folders behind here is from Deutsche Bank, and they know that they have money there waiting for them when they get older. If they need to do a driver's license, they can always go and take from that money and so on. They are aware of that. So there's no way you're going to come to me and be like, you are entitled, so I should buy you 400 euros pair of Nikes or something like that because you feel entitled to your money, that your money is with me. No, your money is not with me because the government can't pay me enough to take care of you. So that is not even possible. But it all boils down to the communication. Once we are communicating with our kids and they are aware, you see, the bond between us and our children needs to be very, very strong. Once that bond is strong, you're not going to have these frictions between you. Of course, teenagers in Europe can be a whole different story. But once the bond is there, once you've established this bond, like I said, between the ages of 0 and 5, once it's strong and it's there, it makes the other stages much easier. But once that bond is not there and you just want all of a sudden to create this bond when your child is 14, 15, it's very, very difficult. It goes into different aspects. As a teacher, I've seen it. Like here, I think kids only have to go to school to the ninth grade. They have compulsory education till the ninth grade. And you can see kids who don't have this strong bond with their parents after the ninth grade, they start to come up with all kinds of reasons why they don't want to further their education. They're tired of going to school and so on. And then these are the type of kids who also ask about their money because they are aware that their money is with you, demand it and say, I want my money now because there's something broken. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with the benefit itself. It has more to do with somehow the broken connection between you and the child that leads to this, asking, I need my money back from you and so on.
So, with parents who already haven't done this, how would you advise them to deal with their teenagers? I know you have upcoming teenagers, with how to help them understand the situation. So, moving forward, how do they communicate with their kids in order to?
Okay, if you've not built that relationship already, and you are building it from scratch, the first thing you don't have to do is try to force it. You would have to build it a bit and in bits and pieces. As your 14, 15-year-old child understands more, you can start by showing them your pay slip. Let them know how much you earn a month. Let them know how much you are making, what goes into running the house. At 14, 15, children understand basic math. They can do the math and see that you're really trying for them. And most of the time, whether you have built this relationship or not, when children see the math, they do tend to start to feel kind of like sorry for us. And they even wonder, how are we able to even make ends meet? It can garner some kind of respect between you and your child. Let them know. I don't see why your 14, 15-year-old should not know how much electricity costs so that they understand why they don't have to leave the lights on. If they understand how much hot water costs, they can do the math. You have to somehow, for so many parents, it's very hard for them to be vulnerable with their kids and let their kids know that they are struggling. Because for somebody might argue, I need my child to concentrate on their studies. I need them to be focused on school. I don't want them to worry about anything. But believe you me, kids are very sensitive. They know when something is wrong at home. They know when you are stressed. They know when your mood is not there because you have money issues and so on. You have debt and all of that. Children can feel all of that. So I don't think there's anything wrong in being vulnerable and letting them know, especially if you have a 15-year-old child or a 16-year-old child. It's about time you let them know the truth about, and also encourage them, whether it's a newspaper route or something, to start doing something new that brings them money as well. Encourage them. If it's babysitting, whatever, encourage them to learn how to earn money. When they see the hours per the hourly rate, they will start to respect, the issues surrounding money and have better understanding for those issues more than babying them or keeping kids in a bubble. I don't believe in keeping my children in a bubble.
I agree with you about not keeping kids in the bubble because it makes them feel out of place when they even go to school trips or meet other friends who are well equipped mentally
Mm-hmm.
to make decisions. It affects their decision making. It takes a long time for them to decide as to the right thing to do. You know, my 8-year-old, when I go into the shop, I give him the option. You either get this or that. And then he
Yeah.
looks at it and his decisiveness, I discuss with him, when you get this is what is going to happen. If you get this is what is going to happen. And he stands there, looks at them, and there are sometimes he doesn't even take both of them either because there's a third option as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's they are not young. They are young. You are not taking their childhood away from them, but rather you are equipping them in and helping them even to grow in a healthy way. So it's not um, being at all. A friend said you don't need to make them understand because they won't. How true is that?
I have such a person. I have a person at home who thinks. I remember when my daughter was like 5, and I said I don't have money, and she was like, "Why don't you go to the ATM?" And I said, "But how do you think the ATM?" She said, "Just go there and take money." And I said, "Well, you have to first put money inside so that you can take money out. You understand? The ATM does not just give money, and if it's just giving money out, then when I go, like I will take 10,000 euro, I'm taking only 100 euro today because that is how much I have in my account, you know. Well, it is true. They do
I,
pretend, teenagers do pretend not to understand because,
mhm.
of course, you have to understand that the teenage years are very, very stressful. The peer pressure is very, very high. So of course they pretend not to understand, but in their hearts of hearts, they do have understanding for us, and they love us. They love us. The thing they want most is to make us, just to please us. The thing our kids want most is to please us. They do love us.
Adwa, there's a lot of feedback on your side. Are you ready to speak? I think she's frozen again.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, we can hear you
Can you hear
now.
me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Uh, yeah, hello.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. I was off for quite some time, so I don't know what has happened. But if I have to stick to the question on which I got lost,
Yes, please. We are waiting for you. I think she's frozen again.
doesn't rain. We work for money, and we work
Well,
before the money
so
gets.
in we are waiting for to see if she is able to. Sister Joy is able to turn up.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Where did I get to before I got lost?
The question that you were supposed to answer, we are still waiting for your answer.
Mekasa natiko.
Oh, you are all right. You are all right. We can see you. I think she
She's
thinks.
tired.
Sister Adra, we can see you. You are so relaxed.
We can see you. We can hear you.
Yeah. I think her side is quiet, so she has no clue. She's frozen now.
Yeah, I think she's having connectivity issues.
Yeah. So in I think Akosia requested for this because she has 3 very young kids and is wanting to know with the young kids, toddlers, how she wants to make everyone happy. But it looks as if, how am I going to budget in a way that it wouldn't be strenuous for us? And she needs help on that as well. So, what advice would you give her?
Oh, you know, now that my kids are older, I miss the time when they were toddlers. I think toddlers are so much about fairness. They understand the concept of fairness, and they can be fuzzy at the same time. But I do love toddlers. Well, to be able to budget and do that, toddlers, you cannot really budget with them for them to understand, but they can understand things like, okay, each person gets a big toy and each person gets one small toy. You can get something small and something big. Those are concepts that kids understand. Sizes, they can differentiate between sizes. If you have toddlers, I will always go with whether sizes or shapes or things like that, and be like, okay, you can have something that is big as a present, and
Of
each
course.
person gets something big, something small. That is a simple concept that toddlers will understand. They will never understand the concept of budgeting because that is too much for a 3 or a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old to understand. And you have to also let them know that getting the gifts are part of being good. It's a reward and all of that. And of course, once you set that target for them, it's a challenge. Now I have to be good so I can get this. It helps them to adjust their behaviors as well. That is the route I will personally take with my own kids if they were toddlers again. But budgeting, you can introduce that when they're like 7 upwards.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I will add that we have to consider now, it's a smart world and you need to be smart as well. In talking to the kids, you need to bring the sale items. It's Christmas. So you tell your child, I want this for Christmas. And you tell your child, this thing can go down by 50% after 31st. Can you wait? So that we have some extra money to get this or that. So that discussion is important. And it's all about communication and coherency, your child understanding.
And
And
teaching them delayed gratification is also great,
great.
for them
Yeah.
to know that, yeah, you can, if you wait till 31st, then you can get
Yeah.
2 items instead of one
Yes.
item. Can you imagine
Yeah.
that? Of course, every
Yeah.
toddler is going to be like, yay, okay, I can get
Yeah.
2 toys instead of one.
Yeah, we can save money and we need to save money to do that. And so that it wouldn't be. And also, one thing that we have to realize is spending and being able to afford things is an emotional journey that we have to come away from. You are in a household with your kids. Christmas time, especially if you are abroad, okay? If you are abroad and you don't actually have to go anywhere or haven't not sharing with anybody else, and you are keen to get new clothes, new shoes, for what? Do you actually need them?
No.
You don't need them. So it's you get the things that you actually need. And we are from back home and we are copying most of these things from other people. And they
Yeah.
go crazy. But we haven't learned that for them, they open an account from January, they have a savings that they put money in up to December. So that spending that they are doing is a savings that they've done the whole year. Meanwhile, you haven't done that savings.
There's a background noise of a dog barking.
It's not from mine. I
It's
don't
not
have a
from
dog.
you.
No. I think it's picking up. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, I can now hear it. I think it's from Ajua's background. She's back.
Okay.
Yeah. So I forgot. Yeah, they have saved money the whole year for this. So it's not like you where you haven't saved. If you haven't saved, don't get too emotional and too stressed out so that you'll be all over the place. Some people save. These people that we are copying in their country, and this the way they celebrate Christmas is outrageous. Don't get too emotional and feel I'm not getting this for my child and all that. That's an emotional intelligence that parents needs to be aware of and need
Mm-hmm.
also to teach their children. So if you want that kind of lavish Christmas celebration, you
Mm-hmm.
start your savings from January.
Yeah.
You put the money aside so that you can withdraw in December and spend. But whilst you haven't done that, don't force yourself into wanting to spend so much whilst you don't have anything. These days in the UK, I don't know about Germany. UK, if you're paying £200 for your light bill, it's now gone up to about £400 now.
Same
Twice
here.
the amount. So, and your light bill is gone, your water is gone, nothing else has increased. So, whilst you are looking at other people who are spending that have extra money coming in, you will spend all this money, and in January you can't pick up your phone call, the
Mm-hmm.
letters are piling up, and then you put that anger on the children again, and they will feel that because you bought them these gifts
Mm-hmm.
you are angry with them and all that, and it's emotionally not healthy for them. So
It's
don't
not.
get so emotional in spending. Let the communication flow, let your children enjoy you. The
Mm-hmm.
understanding is everything, you know. And one thing about Christmas is places that you go. There are so many places that you can go with the kids and have fun
Mm-hmm.
in the cold and rush back home, have a cup of tea and cuddle up. Simple things. There are so many simple things when you search in your area, go online, you search in your area. There are so many things that are going on by groups, church groups. Explore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not everything that has to be about money. So please don't get too emotional with your spending. Be wise
Yeah,
and
and
be smart.
yeah, the main purpose of Christmas really is something that you have to also instill in your kids. It's more about
Yeah,
spending time with each other and not about spending money so much. Of course, Christmas has been commercialized to the point whereby it has become so much
yeah,
about the gifts and so on. But growing up in Ghana, it wasn't really about the gifts. It was really about just the time with the family spending together. Yeah, the food like that,
yeah.
and maybe once in a year finally getting a new set of clothes and shoes, um growing up, I remember we got new sets of clothes and shoes for Christmas and Easter. Those were the times where you got everything brand new shoes. You have set of clothes for December church, you have a set of clothes for 1st of January church service, and so on, and you were excited more about those things than really about gifts and all of that.
Mm.
I remember growing up, my mom would buy this drink that you dilute it, you buy this really cheap Piccadilly biscuits, and we were happy. We didn't need so much. We didn't need all of these things that kids have on their Christmas list nowadays. We didn't need all of that to be happy. And looking back, I was very happy. I didn't think I was missing anything in life. I didn't think I don't have a need for a PS5 or an Apple Watch or all of these new gadgets that our kids focus on. And it comes and goes so quickly. Christmas should be about spending time with the
Yeah,
kids, and that should be
yeah,
it. Just spending the time.
yeah. Yeah, Ntambi Muyanga is she should be arrested. You must be arrested. She's
I saw it by telling my kids Santa does not come to black people's home. I think it's right because they are the only black kids in town. Oh my God.
she she has
In Toby, in Tombi, in Tombi, in Tombi, Muyanga. Oh my God, you are so mean. You are
she
traumatizing
needs
the
to
children.
be
You are busy traumatizing the children. How can you tell the kids that? Well, you have to listen. I don't blame you. I'm not judging. You have to do whatever you have to do to raise kids. Okay, we all have our styles. I I have done some toxic things as well, so I'm not judging you. Do what works for you. Okay.
yeah. But these petty lies, when our kids get older, they're not going to trust you. It comes
No, they're
back
not
to
going to
harm you.
trust you.
They are not going to trust you. So the
They
best
are not
thing,
going to
communicate, let them understand that,
exactly.
and this is the actual thing that goes on. Most parents don't believe in Santa as well. But when they go to school, that's what they teach them. They
That is
take
it.
them
There's a
through,
clash of cultures.
yes, they take them through the whole process. They tell them through going to see Santa, going to, I'm getting this for Christmas. The teachers, it's in the curriculum as well. So sometimes parents, we have to put our positions, we have to be empathetic to the kids. Imagine what they are thinking. Imagine how they are feeling as well. And that also comes to when we are communicating these, we have to understand our kids' environment, their kind of friends, and why they want the gifts they want,
Hmm.
so that we understand how to communicate it to them. A child might be saying, I want a mobile phone because their friend have a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And you will have to be able to explain to them why you don't think they need the mobile phone at
Right.
this age and all that. So being empathetic, put yourself in the child's position and understand their emotion and why they want what they want, and find ways to communicate with them so that it doesn't become like you're being a pain to them, or
Hmm.
you are not being understanding, or you don't want them to be happy. And that's what kids think when they don't get their way. Um,
Yeah,
that,
but sometimes kids can frustrate you to the point whereby you come up with ridiculous stuff. I remember once telling my kids, I was having challenges getting them to brush their teeth at night, and I looked for a video on YouTube of a man with worms in his. And I said, if you don't, that happens the next morning. If you don't brush your teeth before you sleep. And now they are 13, they know I was lying, and they're like, why did you do that? Because I was frustrated. I didn't know what else to tell you to get you to brush your teeth before you sleep. We
yeah,
all sometimes, looking back, I'm not so proud of myself, but I've been there before.
yeah. I wish I could do those things, but for me, I can't do that with my child because he takes things literally as you say
Oh,
it. So
yeah.
if you say something that is, yeah, when you say, okay, hit yourself, he will hit himself. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. He takes things literally as you say it. So I have to be clever as to when you are saying something, think about it, the long term, how it's going to affect his behavior and how he
mhm.
sees things. So I'm very careful about how I communicate in those terms. I was waiting for Ajua to come back, and it looks as if her network has finally given up on her.
Mhm.
So we would be leaving. So, what are your last words for our guests?
Oh,
If
I want to
any,
thank everybody who signed in, all the people who
Mhm.
commented. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining the show. And I just wish that let's just spend more time with our kids, and I hope that yeah, we all have a really nice time this Christmas. Although it's tight all over Europe, I'm sure it's tight in Africa as well for those joining us in Africa. But let's try to
Mhm.
make the best of the situation.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for making it. And we thank you so much, Ajwa, for also coming, for your wonderful contributions. And I'm so sorry that the network decided to give up on you at the last minute. Next, we'll be coming next week as well for further discussions. And thank you all. If anyone has a question, we would like to see them on the comment page. And please write your comments down here. If you have any questions, we will come back to it the next time we come on this network. Share your thoughts with us, and we'll be happy to contribute in anything that you want us to discuss as well. So if you have other parenting topics that you want us to discuss, please put them in the comments as well, and we will be happy to deal with them. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you so much. And thank you, Nancy, again. Have a lovely evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.